I don't know if you know this, it's election time. Oh, how fun it is, or are you just tired of it? Michael Fields, thank you for being here.
It's good to be on with you again.
You've been in this organization, you've been in that organization. Every organization has a different name. This one is America Rising to the Next Day Limited
Colorado Rising Action. So Colorado Rising Action, I used to be at Americans for Prosperity. And I think, maybe 4 years ago I was on the show with you, back when you had more hair. And we were talking about a lot of these same issues.
Right there, buddy. I got your hair right there. Let's handicap a couple of these things. You're working on a lot of different issues. Also, you keep an eye on the candidates. One of your roles is to film the candidates when they're speaking and see if what they're saying is true. How fun is that, or is that just boring?
Well, it can be fun. I mean, I think, it's an important job to do. You have to look at what are they saying, what are they telling different groups of people, are they being consistent, are they making fun of people they shouldn't, the record, does it match up with what they say? And so it's a lot of work.
What do you mean, making fun of people?
Well, we had one candidate here in Colorado, Phil Weiser, who's running for Attorney General, who his campaign ended up making fun of the physical appearance of our tracker and got in a little trouble, had to apologize. The Gazette wrote a piece about it. But you can catch those kind of moments that, take candidates off track because it shows kind of, the people that are working for them.
You're the only side that does it. The other side does not do what you do, which is, go to their events and tape them. They don't do that.
That's not true. That happens everywhere all the time. So, and it's good information for the public. This is what's being said. These are public figures running for public office.
The service really is that politicians say things to please a crowd. Yep. Clinton was masterful at this. He just had a natural ability to read a crowd and talk to them in a way that they wanted and say those things. But candidates will go to this crowd and say something and then say something completely opposite there, and they need to clarify. That is a service when you're looking at both of these. And that's a lot easier to do now that everybody has a camera and everybody has the internet.
Yeah, and the voting record, so we do the research side of it too and go back and say, Jared Polis said this thing, right now, but his voting record is different. He said this thing to this crowd and that to another. So it's a consistency thing. People do deserve to know, our elected officials, our people that are running for office, are they being consistent? Are they, just saying one thing to please people? And it's good information for people to have.
Let's talk about the issues, because one of the great things about the Colorado ballot is that bit of direct democracy, that you get to vote on issues. In our Constitution, the people are part of the legislature. That is, the people get to make laws. We have the right for the initiative and referendum, which means we can overturn a lot of the laws that they pass if we so choose. Which one pops out at you as the most, let's go with the dangerous first. Out of all the 13 things on the ballot statewide, what scares you the most?
Well, sure. I think ballot issues are really important. I love having TABOR, the Taxpayer Bill of Rights here in Colorado, makes it so that we can vote on tax increases. If they want to grow government, they just have to ask the people, make the case to them. So there's a couple tax increases on the ballot that are really important. Obviously, Proposition 112, which is the setbacks that would really devastate our economy, is probably the biggest. But the one that we're focusing on a lot is Amendment 73, which is a $1.6 billion tax increase. And the big problem with it is there's no guarantee on student outcomes. If we're going to spend all this money, what are kids going to learn that they're not right now? And is that money going to go to teacher pay or not? Because the budget's gone up and the less money has gone to teachers.
What's amazing was this whole last year politically, the narrative of teachers aren't getting paid. And nothing was talked about teachers aren't getting paid because administrative costs are going through the roof. Yeah. So we're spending more and more on administrators and not on teachers. But the answer to teachers aren't being paid enough is a income tax increase with no guarantee that it goes to teachers at all.
Yeah.
Do I have that right?
That's correct, and that's the big problem, is that only 53% of the money that we spend on education goes into the classroom, goes to instruction. We need to fix that system first, and basically, you're exactly right. That money hasn't been going to teachers. It's declined by 8%, adjusted for inflation, while education spending has gone up every year. And so I think that discussion needs to happen before any kind of tax increase.
And does 73 guarantee that money makes it to teachers, or does it just go into the system?
It just totally goes into the system. There's no guarantee guarantees. Some of the districts have come up with kind of broad, this is how we might spend the money.
I always love
50%
those
might
ones.
go to this or that.
Yeah, the same thing with the Denver Chamber's 21% sales tax increase for mystery transit projects. Oh, we got lists.
Yeah,
they're not in the. We're going to spend it on. Trust us. It's the kind of tax increase you need to vote for before you know what's in it.
I think that's exactly right. It's a blank check, and it's a big problem. And they have to be, we see this on the local level. Tax increases tend to pass more when they are specific, they're sunset, they have standards, and they're held accountable. This is just, a huge tax increase on property, on businesses, on small businesses, without any kind of guarantees that it'll go into the classroom or that it'll increase student achievement.
Talk about some of those that scared you. Is there something on this ballot that you think, if we pass, Colorado will be better?
I think there are a couple positive things. The redistricting thing, ballot proposal.
Why is that better? I want to focus on that because a lot of people look at this and go, "Listen, if Bloomberg is putting money into it, this can't be good." And I from what I can tell on Y and Z, isn't it, that it changes our redistricting, and it's better than what it is now. It's still not good or great or anything. It's just better. Is that fair to say?
I think that's absolutely fair to say that it's slightly better than the current system we have. The current system would always go to the courts. The courts would decide. It would always come out kind of against Republicans. This is a little bit longer of a process where you might get slightly better maps. I don't think that this is the great solution. I'm not overly excited about it. You asked kind of what other things are excited. I actually like your guys' ballot proposal. I don't think that's necessarily the best thing in the history of the world either because of the bonding aspect of it, but it's way better than what's going on right now, and we need to fix our roads, and it's way better than this tax increase that the chamber's pushing.
That's 109, and I got to tell you, I don't like the bonding in 109. I don't want to do a debt package, but there's two things. One, it's how roads are built in Colorado. Bill Owens did it 20 years ago. It's the same thing if we want to fix these problems. But what really scares me is if we don't do this, then all this excess money that's coming into the state, $1.3 billion a year coming into the state, will not go to roads. And that the next legislature, and potentially a Governor Polis, is not going to spend this money on roads. It is the only way to force a future legislature to build some damn roads.
I agree. I think we have a $30 billion budget. The general fund's over $11 billion. We're talking about 1% of the state budget that would have to go to this bonding. And I think the conversation has to be had because the legislature's not dealing with it. They got $500 million extra. They said they needed $250, $300 million. They get hospital provider fee fix that we didn't agree with, but it happened. They have $500 extra million, and they still don't have enough for roads. So I think this is just calling them out and saying, look, $300 million for bonding, doing what Governor Owens did successfully seems to make the most sense given where we are.
What drives me crazy is $1 billion plus is coming in every year above what we expected. And it's because of the new federal tax code, that's going to continue for forever, at least until the bonds are done. And we're just saying, can you just take a quarter of that? Just take 25% of all that excess you get in every year. Just put it to fixing our roads as core function of government. What do you see as a surprise on the ballot?
I think, you look at the different ballot issues, I think the big ones that we covered, I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of them lose. And I think, you look at the $1 billion tax hike that went on in 2011, 2013, both went down. I think that there's going to be a lot of talk and people, look at setbacks. They look at the transportation one, tax increase. I think they're going to go down. And I think a lot of the focus now is on the money of these big races, these big elected offices, governor, the Mike Coffman race, the AG's race. It's going to be a busy ballot, and there's, as you know from watching all the ads on TV, it is constant.
This is such a great time. I shouldn't be saying this. It's a great time not to be watching television, except Colorado Public Television because there's no commercials. So let's talk a little bit about Mike Coffman. I am very concerned about that seat. I mean, every 2 years, the left thinks they've got it won, and so far he's always won it. This year, they think again they've got it won. I have no idea. I'm in the dark on this one.
I think that you never bet against Mike Coffman because of the history. You look at it, I mean, you know, Andrew Romanoff was supposed to beat him, McCloskey, you know, Morgan Carroll was supposed to beat him. I think one thing that he does do is he outpaces polling. I mean, you look at polling, it's normally neck and neck, and he wins by 8 or 9 points. You know, recent polling that have been public, you know, he's behind a little bit. I think it's going to be a close race, but he's somebody who has, you know, constituency. He's worked hard in the district. We'll see how it ends up turning out.
I've never known a politician who works harder than Mike Coffman. I mean, there's not a doorbell he doesn't ring. There's not a group he doesn't go talk to. All right, 20 seconds left. Who becomes governor?
I don't know yet. I mean, Jared Polis has $20 million. He's still not anywhere near 50% of the vote. And so I think it's going to be late deciding while ballots are out.
People want to get involved with the organization. Is there a place to go?
ColoradoRisingAction.org, and we're on social media too.
You're so nonplussed. It's just what we do. Read me in the Denver Post. Listen for me on KL Radio. Tell a friend, and we'll see you next week.